Eraserhead really became one of the first cult movies, midnight movies. It played at the New Art for 3 years, and people would just go see it at midnight and just space out to it and dissect it and deconstruct it. And before the internet, there were like magazines, but there wasn't a place to really discuss this stuff. So you'd have to go see this movie over and over and discuss it with the people in the theater because no one understood it.
Beats the hell out of me. I got to think about it for a while.
So people want to give you a comment?
Gosh, it was the best thing I've seen all year.
Some inane, bizarre person with a disturbed mind wrote that film, and I did not enjoy it.
I enjoyed it very much. My kind of movie.
I liked it. I've seen it 5 times.
It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
I compare it to early Fellini.
The most intense thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
This was David Lynch, this artist, coming out of AFI, and he spent 5 or 6 years making the movie. You know, he shot it for 6 years. He would do 2 shots a night. He would deliver the Wall Street Journal during the day, and they let him live there and just paint the set, and everyone just kind of loved him and supported him, so he just had camera equipment, and he had film, and I mean, you have an artist who's obsessively making this movie. Every set is painted by him, and the movie comes out, and people didn't know what to make of it. It wasn't narrative. It was this nightmare of parenthood, of living in this industrial machine world. It's like as if David Lynch was the first director that I saw that filmed the unconscious and the subconscious. You know, he wasn't saying this is what the movie's about. There's just imagery and sound and mood and this lady in the radiator that he's singing to with these strange cheeks and this baby that looks so fake, but you care about it. And it's so grotesque and strange. And it looks like his paintings, it looks like his drawings. And I had the fortunate experience of helping David transfer Eraserhead for Blu-ray. I actually gave my computer to him so he could have someone clean up Eraserhead frame by frame. It's this stark, brutal, terrifying black and white world where this guy goes to see his girlfriend Mary X, and she says, "You're the father of the baby," if it even is a baby. They don't even know what this thing is. And then there's this thing wrapped in these bandages, and he's just got to take care of this sick child in this horrible, bleak apartment. And you just think of what it must have been like for David having a child or his nightmare version of that. And it's a beautiful film. It's a film where he just, you know, he kills the child and goes into the radiator and is warmly embraced by the lady in the radiator. And she sings this song, "In heaven, everything is fine."
In heaven, everything is fine.
It's weirdly warm and comforting and terrifying. It's just that's the only happiness that Henry has in his life. But it's this great performance by Jack Nance, who went on to say, "She's dead, wrapped in plastic."
She's dead, wrapped in plastic.
But the image of him just staring, even before I knew what Eraserhead was, I knew that image. That shot where he's standing there in the pencil shavings. I got the negative. I got like what was close to the original negative as I could find. The negative got thrown up by his ex-wife, and he had me find the trash man.
David Lynch was genuinely one of the sweetest, nicest guys I ever worked for. It's literally like I'd go to his house and he'd be like, "Okay, bud, here's the deal."
I actually located roughly where in the garbage the original negative to Eraserhead was, because David was so obsessed with finding it. I found the trash man that picked up the trash that day in the time period that it would have been thrown out, the landfill where it would have gone and what would have happened to it. And now they put stuff in cement blocks, but at the time they shredded it. So all of those cans would have been shredded. And the guy had some story. He's like, "Yeah, I remember thinking this is a weird thing to throw out. That's why I remember it. Like, what are these film cans?" But, you know, they shredded them. It's gone, sadly. And in fact, a year ago, David had me check again just to make sure. I went crazy trying to find the Eraserhead negative. Trust me, I tried. I transferred Eraserhead so I could sit next to him and look at him and ask him questions. And I remember at the opening when you see Jack Fisk as the man in the planet and these fetuses are coming out, and you just see Jack Nance's head. And I just said, David, is this a sex scene? He goes, Eli, you're not allowed to ask me questions. He wouldn't say a word. He wouldn't talk about anything. Even with me next to him, I wanted to get DVD commentary, which David completely does not believe in, doesn't believe in explaining anything. I was sitting with him, next to him, with the interpositive, and I gave him my computer to clean it just so I could get stories about Eraserhead. Wouldn't say a word.
Eraserhead is my most spiritual film.
Why elaborate on that?
No, I won't.
David Lynch gave me the best directing advice. He said, Eli, keep your eye on the donut, not the hole.
There's the donut and there's the hole. And you should keep your eye on the donut. And all the other things that go on, they don't matter. What matters is falling in love with the story or ideas and realizing those. There's things going on in the world all the time, and some people become obsessed with those, but it's a little bit absurd. So your job is to stay focused and hope that the ideas keep coming and you're able to, realize them.
The only thing that matters, the 24 frames per second, which was film at the time, that's the donut. The only thing people see is the information recorded in front of the camera. All the other crap, the backstabbing, the drama, that's the hole, and you can get sucked right into it if you're not careful.
Let's keep our eye on the donut. The hole is so deep and so bad. The donut is a beautiful thing.
So I say that on all my movies to everyone, eye on the donut, not the hole. And it's a way of refocusing everyone, going, oh yeah, we're here to make a movie. We're not here to get caught up in drama. David, he was an Eagle Scout. He has this really sweet Missoula, Montana sensibility about him. David is like a nice Midwestern boy who loves his parents and is terrified of the outside world. Like when he went to Philadelphia, he grew up in Eagle Scouts and clear skies and mountains, and then went to this industrial nightmare. So he sees the underbelly. Look at that opening shot of Blue Velvet where you go under the grass, this plastic America and the red shiny fire truck, and go under the grass, and the Beatles are all there. It's like represented in their clothing too. The clothing that Dennis Hopper's wearing, he looks like one of those Beatles. So David Lynch was the first director that really made me aware of what a director can do. And I remember when I was 14, my father came back from the movies and see Blue Velvet, and he's like, I need to take you to see this because you need to understand what's happening. You need to see who David Lynch is. And I saw Blue Velvet in the theaters, and it's one of the movies that changed my life. I just had never seen clocks like that and cars like that and the images of the fire truck and the music and this perfect plastic America and the dark, seedy underbelly and the ear being the link between the two worlds and this guy following this mystery and the kind of David Lynch uncanny noir. I just became hooked. All of his work feels like it is of a piece. It feels like the same movie connected through all of them.
Rabbits. I'm like, what? He's like, rabbits, man. We need rabbits, real rabbits. And so I'd go to Western Costume and take photos. I'm like, David, what do you think is rabbit? It's just bullshit, man. It's like the fucking Energizer Bunny. You gotta get me those rabbits, man. So I knew some guys, and we made these rabbit suits, and he's like, beautiful. Okay, here's the deal. We're gonna go, and we're going to film some rabbits. And we just go and shoot this crazy stuff. It was so much fun. And then when I saw Inland Empire, for me it was like surreal on top of surreal on top of surreal, because I had been there shooting so much of that stuff with him. Then I was like, oh, that's what he did with rabbits. It was kind of, at the time, there were just these ideas that were floating in and out of his head. I had been there for so much of it, it was like I couldn't even, for me it was just a whole other level of weirdness.